how is it to sit in our own pavilion? It's quite interesting because, you started the work, a couple of months, weeks ago, and then suddenly something happened. You came to visit this site, Palazzo Litta. There was nothing except to the original fragile floor, and then the building itself, there was nothing. And suddenly you have something that is constructed inside that. It's really like a feeling of, wow, something happened. The idea was to just create an open, space where social encounter could happen, where a visitor can rest and relax. And so I got the inspiration from Africa, where I was born and grew up. So where the public space can be simply a big tree. So, and then this place is shared, and then as the canopy, the tree is providing shade, and then the shade makes it the most favorite place for the people to stay together, to gather together, and then to discuss, so just to meet. When we in the discussion with a partner, which is a dam, of course, and then Mosca partner. So we have been talking about ideas which fit best with my own architecture or the architecture of my office, and try to source what can we use, how can we use, or introduce materials that are available in Milan and around Milan. So, for example, for the landscape, which remind you the landscape of the typical African savanna, we worked with Euro Ambiente, and they found this material, this grass, around Milan, and then they found a specialist that is used to go with a little boat and just get this grass, to cut it, this wild grass. And it happened like this. Really, they found the last one that was able to do it traditionally, and they just cut it for us. And we like it, so, and we could put it here, and to create this feeling of an African landscape. So, so we did it with the floor, so which represent the communal ground for the installation. And we did it. We found a wood supplier that accepts just to put the material to our disposition. And of course, we worked with Casone, who provide all of the stone, allowing us to just try to reinterpret how you can stack stone, and evaluating the lightness and even the transparency of these primitive material. So if you talking about architecture, my architecture consists, when possible, to use what is locally available, to use natural material, to use what I can get from the site to create something useful for people, because it's all about people. So we created this structure to allow visitors among them just to relax, to meet. We wanted the social encounter to happen. So, and then another thing that I have is always to think about the future of a structure. So just to say, to put a lot of money and create a structure like this just for 5 days is like something that I was asking myself, does this fit with your architecture? You understand? So, and then the idea grew up to say, hey, if I find a sponsor that is open enough to say, to support we and then our partner to get this structure in Africa, I will do a library out of it, which will fit. I will transform it slightly and then give it another life to the structure. So to connect again the event in Milan with Africa, because we wanted to connect this installation with Africa for sure. So that's why we call it Litta village, a courtyard village. You could call it African village, however. But now to just really connect it back in reality, it would be good if we could bring it there and create a long-lasting value. So reusing it to create a library, which will connect again this heavy structure here, which is the Palazzo Litta. This high sophisticated structure, which is Palazzo Litta again, within the region of reference, which is Africa, where you just use very simple material to create a shelter. No, this tool is amazing. And now when we started to work, to discuss, I refused to design a furniture because furniture is something very complicated. And then you need references, and then it is about engineering. You have to check if your idea is really strong enough to be produced in the short of time. It's like a collaborative work. In the office, we start to talk about it, and then specific with little Nina, that was in charge of the project. We're looking for references and what we self-understood about the furniture. And the uniqueness of this furniture is like you carve it. You got it? You carve entirely from a massive block. You just got it, and you carve the material out. And the reference is a sitting element from my village, carved by hand is like handcraft. So again, the connection there, very simple. So using natural material here, very high sophistication, using high technology to just carve it and get a sitting element done. So that was the idea that we had, inspired by this sitting element home, and then inspired all the time by something that people used to say, ziba ziba means if you work hard, people just push you to keep doing in an ironic way. In an ironic way, we just wanted to collect these and just encourage people not to sit long. So that way we just cut it and say ziba. So we do work on a lot of projects. We're still building a lot in Burkina Faso. We still build a lot in Africa, in specific in Burkina Faso. So we're working on numerous projects. But then even here, I am now, with my structure, arrive in the Western world, you understand. It's like, wow, you started to do some stuff in your own village, and then in other areas in Africa, and suddenly you landed in the Western world where you have the chance to explore architecture. So by the way, I am a Western trained architect. So we are dealing in different installations. In Germany, we'll be dealing in 3 or 4 different projects, including theater. Theater is a building structure in Berlin, or a big-scale master plan for how to reuse former military barracks in Mannheim and Münster. So a lot of good projects are coming. But we still have the capacity and the energy and even the creativity to get more or to work on more other projects, simply just to put fresh air, I hope, fresh air in the world of architecture.